Hi, hello, this is Kaz and right now I listen to episode 14 of Koppai Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kaz joined alongside Mr. Koppai himself, Zak Risk.
Koppai Nation, now 2 people strong.
Oh, come on. We have more than 2
Yeah,
people.
we got like, I don't know, like almost 15 subscribers now on YouTube, and we have
something like that.
300 entries into our contest. So yeah, it's much bigger than that. I kid, but
You kid. Have they told you who I am?
we have like two elite Koppai Nation members.
Yeah, we have 2 diehard people, I'll admit that. But no, that's a good way to lead off the podcast. Welcome back to episode 14. We have not as much news to cover, but we're going to talk about some really fun things. We have some other videos going up today, some housekeeping and some sad news, some interesting titillating rumors. Ooh. But first of all, let's talk real quick about our Patreon. We don't want to dwell on it too much because we don't want to be those guys that talk about their Patreon and their statistics, like an Apple keynote or something where Steve Jobs or anyone goes on stage and they talk about how many iPhones they've sold in the past year. No. We're not going to do that. But we do want to kind of share some happy news that we've had so far this week. This is our first week, in case you missed episode 13, of our rebranding, basically just reestablishing ourselves as Koppai Productions. Getting back into the podcast, remaking videos, giving all of our content a new sleek look that kind of breaks away from the previous stuff I did as a solo project that Zak was already so much involved in that it just became silly to keep it solo anymore. And it's been a really good first week to have that all reestablished. As Zak mentioned, we have a new YouTube account, youtube.com. If you search for Koppai Productions, you'll find us on there. We don't have a custom URL quite yet. We're working on that. We're gaining subscribers there compared to the 100 or so that we had on the last one. We had to get a new YouTube. Our Twitter followers were almost to 100 there in the first week. On Facebook, we have almost 100 likes over there. We're gaining more and more. We've had lots of discussion on different forums, different Facebook, social media outlets, Twitter, on the comments on our actual YouTube videos. So that's nice. There's actually been discussion. Sometimes that can be really hard to generate. And then we have our first Patreon supporter in 1 week, which was super, super impressive. I'm not going to say his full name, but Charlie, shout out to you. You go by Chaz on some social media outlets. But we'll just call you Charlie for now. We are so incredibly thankful and grateful that you would help donate and support us.
He seems like a really cool guy too.
Yeah, we've talked to you briefly. We haven't had too much time to talk because it's just been such a busy week, and because of just the nature of just messaging back and forth when we both have different schedules. But yeah, you seem to really love our work, and we're gonna try not to disappoint going forward in the future. And you kind of talked about how we are very fun and energetic for Nintendo, but also are realistic and offer critiques. And it was nice that Charlie was kind of out there trying to get other people to join into the community, not because it's like, hey guys, go like these guys for the sake of liking them, but it seems like he also kind of understands our mentality of building up a community, which we really, really appreciate. And he's involved also in the kind of funny Colin, Greg, Nick, and Tim group, which they themselves have a really positive community-based gaming culture there. And so it's really nice that we can kind of bond with that community because we're such big fans of that community ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, Mango Viking has been continuing to support us. We had a guy named Sam was also starting to support us. He was liking us over on Facebook and Twitter. I think he left a comment on one of our Facebook posts or one of our YouTube posts. I'm not quite sure. Where he just said like nice video, which even though it's like a pretty plain comment as far as just like, hey, nice video. It's nice to see stuff like that because we've had another person that was dissing some of our work that we poured hours and hours in. It's just like, come on, like, But we understand those haters are always going to be out there, and we're just going to try to take the criticism they have to offer and just move forward and make it better. But yeah, so lots of cool numbers, lots of a very good first week. I think better than I expected. I wasn't expecting I, I didn't know if I was going to expect a Patreon donor or not in our first week. It's kind of a stretch to ask people for money right
Yeah,
out of the gate. But I thought we should at least have it up there in case someone was willing to take a chance on us. And so it's cool that not only did we get a donation, but we got one for one of our higher up tiers. Uh, it's nice that not only do we get followers, we got people that are actually following us on Twitter and Facebook that are actually engaged and not just robotic Twitter accounts, which can sometimes happen and have lots of fluff and just like friends or family or grandmas, liking a page. It's like actual people. And then that people had discussion that there is something of like worth and weight to our stuff was really, really cool. And so we're not stopping. We're actually going to try to be making probably more in the coming weeks and months. Um, we have a review discussion going up today for Pokken Tournament on the Wii U. Really awesome game. Right now, we've played it. We're recording this on Saturday. We'll record our review discussion on Sunday and then post it all on Monday. As of Saturday morning, we're very much so enjoying it. And so it'll be interesting to see how our review discussion reflects that, but I can't imagine our opinion changing too much. I think we're really enjoying it, and so we'll talk more about our review scale and all of that over there. And then I'm also going to try to make just a 4 to 5 minute kind of typical video review format video this weekend of a written format for Pokken, and so that'll all go up Monday. We'll have more of our snippets, and then we'll have more and more content going forward. One quick note before we get into the news, I just want to say that next week our podcast will be one day late. It'll be going up on Tuesday, and that's just because of the Easter holiday. I'm going to be going and spending that time with my family and my fiance, I guess with our family. And so I won't have too much, like it'll be harder to get that edited in time by Monday since I'll be on the road a lot. But we'll definitely have that for you by Tuesday, and hopefully it'll actually be a really nice quality because Zach and I will be able to film that with me being back home in Nebraska. And
yeah,
so yeah, lots of cool stuff. I probably left out something that's cool and exciting. Oh, the Amiibo giveaway. The winner should have been announced by now. We haven't completely decided it yet because we still have to put all those names and entries into the randomizer. We had
yeah,
almost 300, if not 300 entries. And so really cool that we had that many people going for it. The next one will be in mid-April, and it starts now. The entries for the next Amiibo giveaway start immediately after the previous one. And so if you follow us, subscribe, share with hashtag Koppai, all that stuff, then you're entered to win the Amiibo for the next month, which will be about April 15th ish.
yeah.
And
Really
so,
cool.
um, so yeah, so really cool and really fun first week. Gives us a lot of hope that this could be something big, which we hope it will be. And
Yeah,
so,
it's definitely been a lot of fun. Just all of the discussion and the feedback and the fun of getting it all set up and going and planning it out. And I've just thought it's been like just doing this whole Pokken review and getting the game and having to like really get in depth in it because we care about it and want to get our impressions out in our our first
yeah,
review, and it's really awesome and fun, and it's just I can't believe that we're doing this as like our as a job. It's really
yeah,
awesome to get to have as a part-time thing that we're doing that's actually super that actually I'm extremely delighted to do every day, and
yeah,
that it's actually super rewarding and that I can see paying off in the future with so many things. So it's really a great thing, and I think that um, it's just gonna continue to get better and better as we go along. So I'm super excited and I'm just super happy doing it, which is so it's
yeah.
been a great week.
Yeah, real quick note to wrap that up. The feeling of kind of both dread and excitement when I clicked like the schedule button or the publish button on the Amiibo giveaway and then the Settle It and Smash video
Yeah.
and all of that was absolutely like insane. Like what a crazy feeling to be like we've put like so much time into this and put a lot of our heart into it.
Mhm.
And kind of like I mean this is kind of our we've both kind of dabbled in entertainment and online presence before. And this was kind of like our last hurrah as we go forward into our adult life of like, all right, if we want to make this kind of video game journalism entertainment job happen, this is it, like let's put it all into there. Otherwise, it'll be kind of more like standard jobs in line with our career, which is fine. Like
Right.
we're cool with that future and stuff, but we really want to pour into this to see if this can become um, part of our like core lives. And it's interesting to see like the response and then get like actually like a financial gain from it and be like, whoa, this could be a job. And like
Yeah.
we don't view the Patreon donation sum or the YouTube revenue number and be like, oh, cool, with this money we can go buy more amiibo or we can go buy more video games or something. Like, I'm already thinking of ways of like, how can we pour this back into the company to make it bigger so we can provide for ourselves, but also make this something big for the community and just try to find those ways and to make this something like actually legit and not just like kind of a fun side project, but like we actually want to invest this like you said, like where it's like a job and we think about it when we're not working on it, and when we are working on it it's like all we're thinking about is like when I'm at work, when I'm in class for my college courses, like I'm in the back of my mind I'm thinking, who can I tweet out, who can I email, what sort of PR can I do to get a guest star on Koppai, what did Charlie say on Patreon, and how can I message him back with um, sort of like recommendations, or how like what kind of stuff should I ask him about for recommendations of what he wants to improve, and what did he say, and how can we apply those recommendations to Koppai going forward, and just all of that stuff. Like it's just always on our mind of how to refine it. And so
Yeah.
for those of you that maybe are on the fence with donating, or have donated already, or have liked and supported us and are going to continue to do so, please know we'll try to make our actions louder than our words, but know like with the actual verbal confirmation that we are deeply invested in this and are so grateful that it's even an opportunity to do this. And so, yeah, we've reached out to a couple people, as I mentioned real quick, about PR and stuff, and some video game companies. We've gotten a few responses. I don't want to necessarily say who until they confirm, but we're reaching out to some of the higher ups for people to have interest. And so, stay tuned to Koppai and help support us to maybe make that more of a possibility. But hopefully in the coming year we start to get some pretty cool guests on Koppai.
Yeah.
And so we're working hard. But all of that being said, the Pokemon review is live right now, Pokemon discussion.
Yeah.
And so Zach, you have a little bit of news to go along with Pokemon and just some other Pokemon gaming news in general. So let's get into that without further ado.
All right. Yeah. Let's unclog that Nintendo pipeline, shall we?
My gosh, we had talked about that behind the scenes.
Yeah, doing the news segment and calling it like we were coming up with a whole bunch of ideas of like what possibly to like should we do a news segment where we're like, all right, let's unclog that weekly Nintendo pipeline and
Yeah.
like do some cheesy little like going.
Well, I think you had said unclog the Nintendo pipeline or
Yeah.
the, but I had mentioned like going into it, like your Mario when you're going down the
Oh
pipeline,
yeah.
and and you're just over there unclogging it, just taking a deep plunge into it and just splunging hard. No, I'd also like we had talked about the pipeline, like I think the Toadstool times,
Yeah.
like Mario and Luigi's report, or just like I think we said like My Nintendo News, but that's already taken by My Nintendo News,
Mhm.
Me News and stuff like that. But I like the pipeline thing, especially the
Yeah.
way you said it with such a kind of creepy voice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is what's in the pipeline this week. The Pokken is officially out, so
Nice.
you can all go get that. We got our copies, and as we said, the Pokken review is going live alongside this. So yeah, go get that. We're both loving it a ton, and it's also getting really good reviews. IGN gave it an 8, but they did complain about how it has super deep mechanics. Gaming Age gave it a 91. But not all the reviews have been positive completely. US Gamer gave it a 60,
Yeah,
but it
weird.
has an overall score of 4 out of 5 on Metacritic, so it's doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's and I mean we'll get more into it in our review discussion and stuff. But as of now, like a 4 out of 5 seems good.
Yeah, really
and it
solid.
and it's just weird to complain about. It's weird to complain about deep mechanics in the game. Just saying,
Yeah, I think so. Because, I mean,
unless
especially when games like Fire Emblem are getting such high reviews, and games that inherently have super deep mechanics are like kind of what seems popular these days almost is like they want if it's super shallow. I guess it kind of works either way. It depends on what type of game that you're making, because if it's like
Yeah,
you're making a mobile game, it's really nice to have that simple, super not deep mechanics. But
yeah.
if you're making a fighting game that's supposed to be competitive and supposed to be on a tournament scene,
Yeah, I
I would
mean,
think that it's not a valid
tournament's
complaint.
in the name. Like it's called Pokken Tournament. Like
Right.
it's out of the gate meant to be something more, a little bit hardcore than Pokemon, which itself has deep mechanics. I
Yeah.
mean, learning typing and just all of this different stuff you need to know with items and boosting and all of the like that has lots of deep mechanics itself, and so you can't even have the excuse that oh, but it's Pokemon, it should be a little bit lighter. Like no,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
Right.
But we'll talk more about that in our review
Yeah,
discussion.
definitely.
There's
That
just
seems get a bit heading into that deep in discussion that we are going to have that we
a
still
little bit
have
of
to
a
record.
tease for the kind of
Yeah.
stuff we'll talk about over there. So go over there, listen to that.
Yes, but we do have some other Pokemon news as well. There is a pretty significant milestone that the franchise just hit. From IGN, the headline Pokemon series sells 200 million copies, which is a
Mm.
really impressive feat,
Didn't The Witcher 3 or the Witcher series just do that too or something?
I'm not sure. That'd be surprising because I would think that Pokemon would be, way ahead
Yeah.
of those, but you
Or
never
maybe it
know.
was 2 million. I don't know. maybe I'm off
Yeah,
by a couple zeros or something. I'm not too sure.
yeah. Yeah, and that's just the mainline series too, by the way. Actually, a figure just came out from MCVUK that shows all of the Pokemon games, that's including the side games such as Pokken, although Pokken's probably not included yet because it just came out. They've sold over 279 million copies worldwide. The entire
That's
franchise,
insane.
not just those mainline like Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. And yeah, that is very insane.
It's weird how
And
much less the side games sell. You would think those would sell more and like really boost that number, but to have all the
that's
Pokemon
what
games and then
I
only
was
79 million of that.
Yeah, I was we were talking about that not too long ago actually, where you were making the argument, I think, that you thought Pokemon Go, like this was kind of the route they were starting to take, was they might
Oh
start
yeah.
stripping away from the mainline titles, and I was trying to point out that figure of like they sell like I think I looked up the X and Y numbers and it was outrageous. And it's like these games are they just sell so much, and historically the side games have never really done as well. And so I think that they're always going to make their main support off of the main games. And I still stand by my point I think I made, that I think they're still passionate about making them. I think
Yeah.
we see this Pokemon Rainbow, and it seems the little bits we've seen and how it's doing Hawaii, and they have a whole bunch of connection with Hawaii. It seems they're very much still passionate and inspired when they're making these, and there's a lot of geography left in the world to cover. So, I still feel like this, and with we get these numbers that they've sold 200 million copies, it's definitely seems like it's not going to be stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, one thing I was gonna ask was I just wonder if like Pokemon Shuffle is included in this as like as a copy sold,
Ah,
because I wonder if that would affect the figures because
yeah,
you would think that everyone downloaded that game because it's for free, like on their mobile devices or something. And I wonder if that can count as a copy sold.
yeah,
And then you also wonder how much revenue they're making off of microtransactions in that game. And you had mentioned when we talked about that in the past that you never bought microtransactions in that game, that you just
right,
would wait till the hour was over before your like heart's replenished or something. But I know people um, like dad and stuff would, although he doesn't do it too much, but he would play Candy Crush, and sometimes he would spend $1 or so on getting to the next level, like if it was like a train ticket or something to get to the next level, or if he was like waiting in the doctor's office or at like a meeting or something, and he wanted to beat this level but needed to spend like 30 cents for one more life or something. Like he would always like do maybe small stuff like that.
hmm
And I know people that are way worse than him that would just do $1 every time they wanted to keep playing, put down $10 if they wanted to do like a bunch of candy packs or something. And you have to imagine those people are there with Pokemon Shuffle too.
hmm
And so you wonder how much they make off of stuff like that, because you do have kids that are like, "Daddy, Daddy, give me another heart, put
yeah.
down your password for one more dollar or something."
Mhm.
And that's what was kind of my argument alongside if Pokemon's gonna break away from the mainline series, because
Yeah.
even though they're selling 200 million copies of the mainline series, you have to imagine that's also what Pokemon Red, Blue, Yellow. So three Pokemon per generation, and we're going on to Generation 7, so that's 20 generations. That's 10 million a generation or something, or 20 million a game. Actually, that's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, it's
Um,
pretty good.
um, but yeah, I mean, but still though, you have to imagine if they're giving out these mobile games for free to
Mhm.
so many people, and then everyone, like those millions and millions of people that have a free Pokemon Shuffle, spend a few bucks on getting their hearts replenished,
Yeah.
or with Pokemon Go, if they end up spending a few bucks on, I don't even know what the microtransactions will be in that game, but you have to imagine they'll be there because it's a mobile game and it's Pokemon. They're gonna try to make money somehow off of this incredible idea.
Uh-huh.
Or Pokemon Co-Master, which has or microtransactions. You have to imagine that even people spend like a few bucks, or if you have that one person that peaks a little bit, they have to
Yeah.
make somewhere actually probably pretty near that mainline money for not too much development cost compared to what the main series is. And so maybe not right away, but I still kind of stand by my theory. Although we talked in our Pokemon anniversary episode, which is live on our Patreon page. If you support us for 99 cents or above, you can get that over there. We did talk about how Sun and Moon may be repeating the cycle of the whole Pokemon franchise and universe. And so maybe they're
Right.
not
Yeah.
stopping soon, but I don't
Yeah.
know.
All right. Well, moving on, we have a bit of sad news. It's also
Yeah.
Pokemon related. Tragically, the Pokemon creative design director was killed in a windstorm. Eric Medali,
Medali, yeah.
yeah, was a father of two little girls, um, taking one of them out for a Sunday drive. But around 1:30 Sunday afternoon, as the two were either driving down or sitting parked at on Seward Park Road near the Lost Lake Trail, a massive Douglas fir came crashing down on their SUV. And his daughter did survive. He
Yeah.
was 42 years old. Really, really sad. He's had basically a touch on like every single Pokemon game,
Yeah.
and especially like the trading card game, like super iconic logos that we've seen. And it's really, and I apologize for the name. We were trying to figure out how to actually
Yeah,
read that.
we did quite a bit of research actually prior to the podcast of trying
Yeah,
to figure out how his name, because he had nothing but the utmost respect for him and the
of
work he
course. Yeah.
did, and then obviously like the our thoughts, condolences, and prayers to the family, and it's all the, I mean, even the fans that are affected by it. We we're no, or what's the word, like we're not immune to having like kind of deep feelings of grief and remorse when someone like this passes away. We had the same kind of like tears shed and stuff for Iwata when he passed away, and it's getting to that point, and a lot of it's like the generation that grew up on like Pokemon and those kind of 90s cartoons or TV shows are starting to experience a lot of that whole people are getting older or things are happening now that people are getting older, because it wasn't this the case with Eric Medali, but we're just we're starting to experience that loss and stuff going forward, like that's happened a lot in 2015 and 2016. um, and it's just so sad because yeah, you see his work everywhere, and we talked about it, I think once again on our Pokemon 20th anniversary episode, um, how people that associate or seem disassociated with Pokemon nowadays, a lot of it's because of like the design changes, or they don't like the new Pokemon, or they feel like it's changed. But honestly, Eric Medali did a very good job at keeping that same look and feel established through a lot of the Pokemon games that he worked on. And you look at modern day logos for different Pokemon games coming out. And I don't know the specific ones he worked on, because I know he worked on most of them, but
Yeah.
there's a few that were exceptions. So I don't want to say the one exception, but he worked on a lot of those, and you just never say like, well, that doesn't look like a Pokemon logo. Like, I mean, it always looks Pokemon. Like X and Y is like, wow, they found a way to make X and Y look like a Pokemon logo. Super Mystery Dungeon has
Yeah.
that same look. Sun and Moon still has that same look,
Hmm.
um, and he was able to contribute to that as well. And just every game he worked on, there, because I can't think of one. It had to have been one that he like never like strayed on, you know. And so he had a very good artistic touch, and
Yeah.
even, I mean, we don't know much about him beyond this, and we don't need to focus on the sad news with Koppai, but we did want to give him the time he deserved. I mean, even the fact that he's taken his daughter out for a drive, like, just seemed like we don't know him much, but seemed like a very kind guy. And the fact that he poured so much into Pokemon, he has to have good taste, and so,
Yeah, and I feel
uh,
for his two little girls too. That's
yeah,
just, especially the one that was with him at the time. Thank God she's safe,
yep,
but really sad to, yeah, have to experience that. And our thoughts go out because it seems like he was in that area of Seattle, kind of where Nintendo and
hmm
the Pokemon Company, the area over there. So our thoughts go out to all those people that like actually knew him and were close to
yeah.
him because yeah, that's
And
really
yeah,
sad.
any of the projects and stuff that they may have been working on, if he was in the area, he was probably helping in some sort of design.
Yeah,
And so hopefully just like um, hopefully there's not too much stress. I mean, Nintendo's in a very crunch time right now with especially their Pokemon franchise. It's a very big year for them. It's their 20th anniversary. 2016 is probably gonna be like one of the most pivotal years for Nintendo since I don't even know when. I mean, it's a huge year for them,
yeah,
and hopefully the stress of all of that doesn't get in the way of giving them some time to properly grieve and reflect on Eric's life because huge contribution and no doubt a friend of everyone there. And so our thoughts and prayers out to you, Nintendo. And if you guys want to like leave comments down below or just kind of remember Eric, I think it was last week, right, that he passed away, and so
yeah.
um, yeah, still some time to grieve there. And so yeah, with sad news, unfortunate. The positive side of it is, as we mentioned with all the other Pokemon news, is just that a huge legacy to have left behind. I mean, we have all those copies sold. You have the name of Pokemon just like resonating so well in the gaming community. He definitely left his mark on the world, and we're,
Definitely.
we're we're truly grateful for that. But yeah, moving forward, Zach, if you want to.
Yeah. Well, Miitomo has been released in Japan, and we got a bunch of information on it. The launch trailer, the U.S. English launch trailer, has come out. It debuted at number 2 on the Japanese App Store, and now it is number 1 actually on the App Store. It surpassed the Beats Line messaging service, which I don't
Sorry,
know must be some what.
I'm just reading your notes here, and its debuts at number two on the Japanese App Store is not number one,
Yeah,
but
it's supposed to be is now number 1.
it's now number one. And I'm like, you said it's now number one. I'm looking at your notes, like,
Yeah,
well, I wonder if he spoke wrong or if he wrote wrong, and I'm just sitting here like, should I
not
correct
number
him?
1.
It's not.
It was debuted at number 2, you guys. But
It's not leaving there.
no, actually it moved up to number 1, so it's like it's doing really well in Japan.
It's rising, and
Yeah.
it's gonna do well here, man. It's gonna.
We got a lot of information on it, a lot of images. I checked it out. I watched that trailer for it. Reggie also spoke about it, saying that he hopes Miitomo will get people to re-engage with Nintendo. He said, "We know that that many people have established habits with the other social apps and services. We want to do something different. Maybe the best way to consider this is looking at your me as an intermediary. For example, if you're on your phone talking to a friend and that friend says of a mutual friend, 'Hey, you'll never guess what Chris told me.' That person on the other end of the phone is your me. He's working for you. We expect people's experience with Miitomo to be a rewarding one in its own right, but at the same time, it's also a way to have them engage or re-engage with Nintendo. The way that they get involved with My Nintendo will reward them both figuratively and literally down the road. So Miitomo gets people involved with their friends, and one of those friends is Nintendo. So yeah,
Honestly, I'm excited, but you weren't too pumped,
yeah,
but
I said it looked kind of bland. You're pretty excited. You think it's gonna do great. I do think that the whole like connection with My Nintendo and like getting you if you check in, you get points or whatever it is. It's so I think that's a really good thing to get maybe me to stick around
Mhm.
to go logging back in once a week to get my achievements or whatever. If they're gonna start integrating the first sort of trophy kind of system with this game, I'm a
Yeah,
little more excited. Though my big complaint with it, I'd say, is that it just looks. I find the little house that you're just kind of standing in. I don't really understand completely. I saw the images that Jose of IGN posted, and it seemed like he was unlocking some clothes to
Yeah.
like decorate his little character and choosing some poses, taking a few photos, sending some messages. I'm
Yeah,
just
me photos, man.
yeah, I'm just not completely like I don't think it looks horrible. I don't think it looks I think
Well, yeah,
definitely the
ironically, it looks better than the 3DS one, like 'cause it's an actual
yeah,
HD. And
yeah. The graphics look really nice. It looks very crisp and clean. I just think that when you make comparisons of like Tomodachi Life, I think that they should have added more elements of Tomodachi Life possibly into it. It seems a little bit too stripped of
yeah,
elements that they could have had. Like, um, I think it needs more of a single player kind of experience vibe to it. I guess it's a social messaging app, but
yeah.
I mean, it just feels like I don't know. It feels I guess since that's what it is it's just like a messaging, but it's not in real time at this also, and it's like
Well, here's my thoughts on it. Is one, I don't know actually if you can or not decorate your apartment. It looks like you can't because yeah, the houses all seem pretty empty in the pictures.
it
Um,
seems you're almost
I
always standing right in front of the door too. It seems like you're about to leave or
yeah.
you just entered. So
Yeah, well, in Tamagotchi Life, every time like you go to your room, like you're like, well, although sometimes I went into Tamagotchi Life and my guy was like running around in circles and he was like rolling on the floor, which was always weird. I remember one time I walked in, like he like farted and he kind of jumped and then got scared because he didn't know where the sound came from, but it was him. And so there's always cute things like that. Maybe you'll stumble upon those things. I mean, you have to imagine that like the pictures you've seen like are kind of people getting like right into the entry level stuff. Um, it's either people kind of getting in right into the Japanese version and immediately starting off, but I think people that did the Japanese version were blocked off from things
hmm.
that were here in America because they didn't have a U.S. account to log in with. And then the people that did have like the American version were just getting like early press releases from Nintendo, in which case I think they were restricted once again. And so we may be seeing a restricted version, but assuming that it's not the restricted version, this is all there is. You're right. Yeah, it does seem pretty empty. And I don't know. It was the thing with Tomodachi Life that is gone, I think we made up for in the fact that it's going to be so social. Like there was in Tomodachi Life, like I had my character, I had almost the entire cast of Game of Thrones. I think I had the entire cast of Breaking Bad. I had all of the Seinfeld cast. I had Reggie, Ayanuma, Iowata. Um, I think all the Disney princesses, and so it kind of had like there was moments where you'd go and you would see Iowata and Joffrey from Game of Thrones like sitting at the coffee shop together, just like
Right.
having a casual chit chat and stuff. And then you'd go to the beach and like Borat would be sitting there like looking at to the sunset, and it's just like, oh, Borat, chilling.
Yeah, I think
But
there's literally none of that quirky charm in this Miitomo game.
well, that's the thing though, is I think there is, but I think now it's with actual people, where instead of going and like having a situation like what I had with Hiawatha and King Joffrey, is that you have, I mean, you're gonna have that with your friends or celebrities that end up getting on the app, or maybe even like the people at Nintendo themselves, like in the treehouse. And I think it'll be kind of become almost Tomodachi Life meets Twitter, where you'll have that kind of social media thing, which once again, Twitter is messaging back and forth, but not in real time necessarily. It's
Hmm.
like you send out a tweet and they may reply to the tweet later. I think that'll be a similar thing and kind of have like almost like a forum thread. It's what I saw from Jose. He tweeted or posted earlier this week, and it was like, he's like, I'm reading this thread, and I'm laughing out loud because it's like so quirky because you have all of our Mii's doing something different in this thread, and there's like you have the way the Mii looks, and they're doing different animations and poses and saying things, and I think there's like a preset thing of maybe of stuff you can say. It's like it always kind of has like a quirky charm to it because the dialogues are all messed up.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think it could create situations like that. And I mean, Jose was pouring himself into it, and he loved Tomodachi Life. And if I would think that he would mention by now, like this is missing something, but it seemed like he was posting stuff from me photo that was very quirky.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
kind of had the same similar set pieces that you would have found in Tamagotchi Life. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they have clothing options. You would think that sooner or later, if they don't have it already, they would have options for your apartment and maybe ways to invite people over, or at least just have your apartment customized in some way. Because that was actually a pretty cool perk of Tamagotchi Life, where I had John Lennon and his room had like melting clocks and it looked like something out of Magical Mystery Tour. But then my room had just like clutter on the floor and a computer desk, which is what my room looks like. Um, and yeah, I mean, I had Jon Snow, and I think his was like literally like ice walls around him and stuff. And so it was really cool that like I was had a level of immersion to it. And as I talk about it, I kind of want to go back and play it more. But it was also always sad that it was like I had a Zach me in there, and it was always interesting because sometimes you would bond with me, and sometimes you would go and you'd start bonding with Hank from Breaking Bad, and it was like, all right, I don't know why he's bonding with Hank, but it just kind of randomly generated, and it was always kind of like it took a little bit of the life out of it with people I knew because you were one like I remember I was on a tour this past summer with a musical band, and we would pass it around the tour van, and I had everyone make their me's, and they would kind of add in their personalities and buy their stuff, and just kind of establish them as if they created their own character. But then I would play it, and it was always interesting because it'd be like, why is this person from my band doing this? Or sometimes it was really funny that they were doing that, but it kind of took some of the life out of it because it's like they wouldn't really do that though, and there was a level of quirkiness and then a level of just like kind of unrealistic immersion breaking experiences. And Miitomo will fix that because it actually will be your friends that are in it, and it will be you, and it will be Kayla and and it will be like the people that support us on Patreon, like the Koppai people will be able to get involved and maybe be able to add us on it as our My Nintendo friends. And it could end up being something like I said, like Twitter, where it's kind of a cool online community of just basically Nintendo quirkiness.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of potential for it to blow up into something big like that because it's super silly and wacky, but a lot of ways to engage with one another. And then you add in the Nintendo brand, add in actual perks for other Nintendo games, and it seems like if you played enough, you get like the chance to basically get like video games. Like you can get like eShop games and stuff
Yeah.
if you played enough. And so more reasons to play it out. It's like a practical sense of playing a video game is to actually like make money for other video games, which is really insane. And so I stand by our snippet from last week that it's going to be a social phenomenon.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind that Miitomo is going to be taking over the world,
Yeah.
and Miitomo 2016 everything.
Yeah, well, you make some good points about it. I'm definitely you definitely talked me down on some of my complaints. So I think that
Yeah,
yeah,
talking you
I'm
down.
definitely I it make me think some other things and make my mind expand to like Mitomo and maybe I get it when it comes out. So yeah, moving on. You kind of mentioned that now with the whole Mitomo thing, my Nintendo is live in
Oh
Japan.
yeah. Yeah, we'll
And
tie this to this previous snippet. More
yeah,
Miitomo, more Miitomo.
more The
My
Legend of
Nintendo.
Zelda Twilight Princess Picross
Picross.
Picross was finally
Picross.
Picross was it's officially all announced and whatnot. It's launched alongside the My Nintendo when it went live in Japan. There's a whole bunch of other cool sick deals on the
Sick deals.
on the My Nintendo Club thing. They got the whole new point system back. And so you can just like exchange those like we were talking about points for video games, eShop titles, and all that.
I think it's a pretty insane amount though for like Zelda Picross. I'm pretty sure it was like 8,000 or I don't even
Oh,
know how.
was it? I thought for some reason I thought it was almost just for going over and joining the service. You got it, but maybe not. Maybe I was
Well, maybe or
wrong.
no, maybe Zelda Picross was all right, but I'm pretty sure there's like some like eShop SNES games or something
Yeah.
that were like you'd have to play for like just days and days and days, like nonstop to get the excuse me, to get the points. And so,
Yeah, but it's gonna
but
work. We're gonna do that and probably get our
well, I
free
mean,
game. We're
and
playing
like
more
also
Nintendo.
if it's gonna go beyond Miitomo and eventually be like the NX games and other mobile games, like if you get my Nintendo points for like Pokemon or something, like, and if it's across all Pokemon or across all Nintendo games, um, yeah, we'll make so many points and just be
Yeah,
nonstop Nintendo for a while, which would actually probably alleviate some of the concerns people had last week with um, just the cost of the eShop games.
yeah,
If this is a way to kind of make it so if almost a way to reward loyal players by giving them for free. That was one of the biggest concerns. Like we had discussion online on our YouTube comments and on forums about um, Nintendo overcharging for the eShop games, and this could be a really cool way to be like, all right, people that play our games all the time don't want to pay this much again, so here's it for free if you do play a lot, you know.
hmm yeah,
And so
definitely.
that could be cool. It's so weird that it's launching in Japan though. Like yo, bring it over here because they're like we see there's an English option in Miitomo and in all this stuff over in Japan.
Yeah,
So it's not a localization issue. It's just like, is it the App Store? Is it the Android Google Play market being like uncool? But what are they playing on over there? Like I just don't get it. Like
hmm
bring it over to the West and let us get on our Miitomo because I'm so pumped.
I
Like
know.
I showed my fiance and she was like that'd be a game like I'd actually play with you because like she's super quirky and loves silly stuff and she's on her phone all the time so she would get on it and
Yeah, I definitely think Kayla would too.
yeah and so we gotta yeah my Kayla would too and
Yeah,
so but yeah really cool excited for all the my Nintendo stuff and Miitomo and just
definitely.
everything Japan's getting first.
Yeah.
Japan.
Nintendo fiscal year earnings are scheduled to be released on April 27th. That'll be interesting to just kind of see how that's all going. It seems like it was a pretty good. I would assume that's for all of like last year and stuff. I think that it was a pretty good year for them last year. I think it was
What? No, the holiday season sucked.
well the holiday season, but wasn't it like a like Splatoon and
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
like
Oh, yeah,
they had a
Super Mario.
strong start last year, and I think they had a strong like summer, and then it
Yeah,
was
Super
when they were
Mario
getting into the
Maker.
holiday. Yeah, when they finally got down to the holidays, that's when it started getting weaker. And I think that it was really like towards the beginning of this year when we had our big lull of
Yeah, I'm
um,
trying to think. When did the new Super Nintendo 3DS launch?
the
Because
new
that.
Super Nintendo 3DS.
Oh, I mean the new Nintendo 3DS.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is what I always wanted it to be called was the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yes. No, because I'm just wondering. I think that launched like later in 2014 and beginning of 2015, so that would have been that fiscal year, which would have ended in April. But
Yeah.
I think most of the West, and then I think even Japan really hopped on a new 3DS if they happened to get one later in the summer, and then the West didn't get
Yeah.
like the smaller 3DS until
Yeah.
the fall, and so that may have actually been a pretty good way for them to earn money too, because that's like a
Yeah.
lot of profit off those. But
Yeah, and it was also kind of, I don't think it was as strong as, definitely not as the year before. And we were all kind of talking about how it was also, it's been a couple actually now, or going on a couple transition years almost with
yeah,
Nintendo in there leading up to this NX, which we're not getting, it's not like we're completely transitioning, we are not getting any good titles. We're getting some really good titles. Of course, Pokken just came out. Of
yeah,
course, Twilight
Pokken
Princess
is
is
honestly like, I mean, that is a solid game in the library. That
yeah,
is
definitely. It's a very important Wii U title. I think it's yeah, it's like a must own for everybody's collection. So
that'll hopefully be a franchise going forward.
definitely,
So.
yeah,
Uh,
um,
And then you have also Paper Mario Color Splash is coming out, which
yeah,
is some people think that's a way like a transition game because it's just like, oh, more Paper Mario, we have that formula built, but no, that's a solid that takes resources and time to make a game of that gorgeous
yeah.
caliber and gameplay.
And
Um,
don't forget Zelda Wii U
ugh,
NX slash N slash
I was
NX.
gonna say that's the definition of a transitional game. If it's gonna come out on NX, like
Yeah,
that is pure transition. Like, all right, let's bridge over to the next gap. But
yeah.
talk
Speaking of NX,
the true transitional game is I was gonna go ahead to Giant Roboto,
oh,
but no, go ahead. Yeah, speaking of NX, that's a better transition. And
speaking of NX, we got a couple rumors actually.
ooh,
Supposedly, Luigi's Mansion NX could be
that
the
actually would
launch
be
title.
so legit
Yeah, it would be. It's
if they
not from a
do.
very credible source, this story. But yeah, it's interesting to think about. It'd be cool. I definitely see it
Yeah,
as something that's a possibility. I mean, they've done two Luigi's Mansion games now. They've done really well. I think the last one did really, really well. Super
Dark
highly
Moon's so
reviewed.
fun.
So yeah, I could, even if it's a totally made up rumor, I don't think it's too far off, and it could actually happen. Like even if it was fake.
Yeah, my only concern with just Luigi's Mansion NX is assuming that's going to be a portable slash console hybrid. My biggest complaint with Dark Moon was that it was very much so pick up and play, do a mission in the mansion, get out of
Yeah.
the mansion.
Yeah.
And the original Luigi's Mansion was very much so like all those classic Nintendo games where it was a big open world,
Mm.
or in my open world, I mean closed mansion. But you got to go around the mansion, and there's like kind of that Metroidvania feel to it where the new one was very much so like a lot of modern Nintendo games of, hey, don't play for more than a half hour because that'll hurt your eyes. And
Mm.
so each mission is only 10 seconds long. Like, I mean, it's like, come on, like, let me play on a binge here without going in and back out of a world map or something. Same thing with Color Splash. And so, um, seems like though a lot of NX games are going to have that kind of baggage of having to be tailored to mobile play, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
Awesome that you can play on the go, but bad that you have to. I don't know. Yeah,
Mm.
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Another rumor we got. Well, it's not really a rumor.
It's more.
Uh,
It's more of like some guy was like,
yeah.
"I wonder if Nintendo's making VR," and
Yeah.
someone's like, "We need Nintendo news today," and so let's put that out there.
Yeah. The story is it says Nintendo VR device rumors from game industry, but it's really like we said, just this guy. By 2022, the majority of VR revenue will be spent on portable, self-contained VR systems that are not mobile or PC VR. Imagine if you strapped a DS to your face. It's like that. Or imagine if the Virtual Boy didn't suck. There'll be gaming devices and won't have cords all over the place. I would bet Nintendo is working on one, Shell
Yeah,
said.
that's the rumor. I bet Nintendo.
I would
Imagine
bet
if you
Nintendo.
put a 3DS on your face. I bet that's what Nintendo's doing right
Imagine if
now.
you strapped a DS to your face.
You just take like two
It's like
staples and just.
that. Or imagine if the cord or the Virtual Boy didn't suck. And there
I
won't
mean,
be cords all over the place.
and yeah, I mean, it's just that was like a ridiculous
I
news
would
story.
bet the Nintendo's working on one. Headline:
Yeah,
Nintendo VR device.
but there is a little bit of not credibility, but a little bit of news value, a little bit of novelty, if you will, impact, proximity, the news sources of journalism or cores of journalism. Um, that there was GDC this past week, lots of VR. PlayStation VR announced that they are coming out in October at a $399 price tag. It's going to be awesome. It has all of these cool games launching with it. Eve, Valkyrie, probably No Man's Sky. Every PlayStation game is compatible with the VR device, and so you can strap on Knack right on your face and just go to town on it.
Yeah,
And so Oculus is also coming soon. HTC Vive is coming this summer.
yeah,
Lots of VR discussion in the game industry. And so I think that's why game industry probably put out this story was just how can we make up a story about Nintendo VR just to have that name out there
yeah,
and probably
definitely.
get clicks and not like attacking the integrity of game industry, but it's a smart move to kind of throw out that discussion.
Yeah,
And it's not like they threw it out there like, hey, are they maybe making it? Who knows? Like they actually had honestly a pretty good suggestion of what Nintendo probably would do, where it would be an independent device
yeah,
like a 3DS strapped to your face. I mean, as awkward as that language is, that's probably a pretty good description of what Nintendo would do. And it does make us wonder. Reggie was kind of clear at the latest C3 that he wasn't too impressed with the modern VR. People are kind of worried about PlayStation going into the VR game because um, it's a little too early. They don't really have the resources of the development to really pour a ton into it. And it could be just another flopped peripheral like Xbox's Kinect or PlayStation Move controllers, or even honestly the Wii U gamepad,
Yeah.
where people may not want to hop onto it, developers and consumers alike. And so it's an interesting time to be kind of looking at Nintendo and being like, so you guys going to be doing VR
Yeah.
because you're Nintendo?
Yeah, it was one of the things that I was thinking we might have to have a discussion on sometime because it's been on my mind a lot
Hmm.
the past few months with just all this VR hype and how we're both really excited for VR in a lot of
Hmm.
different ways.
I don't know if we're
And
picking it up right at launch. That $400 price tag
right,
right after a year, which is already going to be pretty financially demanding. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
That'll be our new Patreon tier. Is $400 a month. Zach and Kaz get VR for themselves.
yeah,
No, no community help whatsoever. Just like we're just gonna treat ourselves.
yeah.
No,
But
we won't do that. We won't do that.
I was thinking though that we need to maybe have the discussion sometime, maybe a little later in the year or something about just is it the right choice for Nintendo to abandon VR and is it should they really be looking as kind of like distancing themselves from it and because of their whole Virtual Boy fiasco and that
Uh-huh.
failing and kind of putting the blinders onto it. I don't know if I really don't think that it's a detrimental problem for them, but I definitely think it's kind of an interesting conversation that we might want to get into sometime just about Nintendo and how this could possibly separate them even further from the competition and from everybody else who are moving on now to another medium that Nintendo is yet again not kind of totally grasping onto. Like they didn't it just always when they say these things about VR, it echoes to me when they said, yeah, nobody really wants to play online with people and nobody really wants to do these things like what was they're always saying kind of they're afraid to move on a bit the HD
Yeah.
I think they were like they with online they said people don't really want to play online and with HD they were like oh it's really just the games that matter nobody really cares about HD that much and then they kind of took a bit to catch on to that and to catch up with everybody and I've thought it's an interesting thought slash discussion maybe to have about is this the same thing again with Nintendo and are they going to be too late again once VR possibly becomes taking off, tremendously, and where beforehand they with like the Wii they had a advantage when they put out the motion before everybody else and had that huge success and they were ahead of the game in that
Yeah.
instance and this time they might be behind it so who knows it's an interesting thing and we might have to do like a Patreon episode exclusive or something like that
Yeah, I
sometime
don't know. There'll probably be a slow news week where we can
yeah
talk about it. But
for sure
the closing thought on that, so we can move on to the few final stories here of the episode,
Mhm.
is just I don't know. Microsoft is in the same boat where they're not diving into it right away, and I would think a lot of industry analysts would agree that while it's awesome that PlayStation and Oculus and
HoloLens
of how yeah well that's more like augmented reality
yeah
sort of
that's
thing. They don't have like a consumer friendly VR coming out is what I kind of meant.
yeah
Like Oculus and HTC Vive and
yeah yeah
VR PlayStation VR are. But I was gonna say though, like a lot of industry analysts would say though that that's kind of a good idea though to not completely dive in. That PlayStation may be taking a huge risk and may flop if they fail like at the VR, and if they do succeed at the VR, it won't be too monumental because it's even success at that rate's just going to be a soft start because not everyone's going to pour $400 down into it. It's going to be a slow start. And you would think at that point, if Nintendo truly saw some sort of resonance with consumers and that VR was more than just like a futuristic, like, I don't know, dream almost, like, whoa, VR is the future, like when it actually has like puts its money where its mouth is. Like once it does that, you would think that Nintendo has the resources, the development, the innovation, and the creative geniuses to honestly probably put together a VR system not too slowly. Like they could probably manufacture and develop and design, especially once they can see what the other competitors are doing, something very similar. And I don't say that to be like, yeah, VR is easily, but it's also you're dealing with a company that has created home consoles, has created 3D without glasses, has made virtual reality in the past, and has billions of dollars they're sitting on. They could be like, oh, guys, look, VR is actually taking off. Let's make Nintendo VR, put a bunch of money into it, and make it better than what they're doing, and let's go. And I feel like they could probably hop on that within a couple of years. And that, like you said, may be too late because it was definitely too late with their whole online idea. And it may even take them longer to figure out how to do that than, or not necessarily how to do it, but why they should do it. Because Reggie, I think, still insists that people don't like to watch YouTube videos of people playing games. Meanwhile, you have PewDiePie taking over Norway, and it's like,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, they seem to be completely off the mark in some regards. And so I don't know. I think Nintendo VR is going to be such a fun talk because it's bound to happen, I would think, eventually. Because I think the gaming industry is going to go into a VR direction, or like that's going to be a constant consistency where it's like PlayStation 5 will launch with VR at its side, just like Xbox One launched with motion controls at its side with Kinect. You know,
Yeah.
it's that motion controls are always sooner or later going to be in gaming just because of the Wii, whether it's through PlayStation Move or Kinect or the motion controls. And VR, because of PlayStation VR, is going to always be, I think, a consistency in the gaming industry, more or less.
Mm.
Um, and so I think Nintendo will eventually have to hop on that, but yeah, we just don't know how. But yeah, that was a cool talk. I don't know.
Yeah. Indeed.
Thanks, game industry, for
Yeah.
throwing out complete like, hey guys, what do you think?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
giving the rest of the world a news story to talk about. So redundant. Yeah. Speaking
Giant
of speaking of innovation,
Roboto. Giant
uh,
Roboto.
so sad that
Miyamoto.
this is not Star Fox Project Giant Robot.
I know.
Slippy and his Uncle Grippy can get
Yeah.
inside their giant robot.
Miyamoto has commented about Project Giant Robot, which has been kind of we saw it last year or the year before at E3, which was it? I think it was the year before because yeah. Because last year was a little bit which is like Super Mario Maker focused. The year
Mhm.
before, I think, was when we first saw Star Fox. It was kind of all revealed, and that's when we first saw Project Giant Robot. But it's been we've seen it appear on some like lists of potential titles coming out soon in the future, and like they haven't ever known exactly what's going on with it. But Miyamoto had an interview with Time Magazine or Time. He said Project Giant Robot was something we started as a second project, and unfortunately, we haven't yet decided to turn that into a full game, which makes total sense to me, I guess. It didn't seem like a fully fledged game. It didn't seem like it was.
Look terrible.
Yeah, it looked pretty bad. Pretty bad experimental game thing, like trying to get some use out of the gamepad, trying to milk the last bit of the Wii
That
U,
was such
like
an awkward E3. Like
yeah.
when what was it? Like Reggie had like the robot cardboard outfit or something, and
Oh,
then Miyamoto like had the gamepad, and they're
yeah.
like, "Hoo, hoo," like going back and like on the show floor, and people are like walking by, like, "What are you guys doing over here?" It's like the biggest creative mind in gaming, and like the Nintendo America like head honcho, and they're like rolling around the ground together. It's just
Yeah.
like meanwhile PlayStation's like announcing like the biggest titles in gaming and showing off VR, and Xbox is announcing backwards compatibility for a console that was never supposed to have it. And then you have Miyamoto and Reggie rolling around on the ground with a gamepad, just playing giant robot with each other, and it's like a tech demo years into their console. It was like, what is happening? Like we're just
Yeah.
watching, like we're all trying to smile and be happy. Like,
Well, do you have to? That year was huge because that was the year of Smash Brothers, and that
oh
was the
yeah.
year they totally dominated, and it
But
was
then
the
you
year
did
of
have moments
Super
like that
Mario
though that
Maker
were
being
like,
revealed. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's like I said, like you're trying to smile because like you still love Nintendo and they're doing things like Smash, but then you kind of see behind that facade of like oh wait, there's nothing else here besides Smash, which was fine for us because we were huge Smash fans
Yeah,
and
it was
still
just
are.
yeah, it was just clouding us. The whole Smash craze was just fogging our memories. So it was like we didn't see anything else.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Miyamoto is just tearing down the
And
world
they
with
knew
giant
that the
robots.
world was hyped on Smash, and that was because I mean, just opening their show like that and everything was. There was a very strong Smash presence, and I think that was. And they did the same kind of last year with Super Mario Maker, which
The
was
Nintendo
not
World
as it.
Championships were so good.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like the Smash Invitational and the Nintendo World Championships were like I
Yeah,
think better than any conference I've seen.
yeah, that's
Like
true.
because those had so much like community and hype and kind of a mystery around them that made for a memorable experience compared to, oh, remember when this was announced, like
Yeah.
you can have that same to remember when this was announced, just like when Fallout like announced just their trailer randomly on YouTube. Like there was a hype around that, but you can't have that same scale unless you did something like what Nintendo did with the Invitational and stuff. Like that can't be. That was only like capable at a stage like E3,
Yeah.
where many other announcements and conferences, as awesome as they are, can now be done online through directs and
Mm.
stuff. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, Giant Robot was. I'm surprised that they didn't do something like they did with Project Guard and
Mm.
attach it to like Star Fox. Um, or you would think that like the R Wing could shapeshift into a giant robot or something, or you would think there'd be some sort of just something. I don't know,
Yeah.
like this attach it to a franchise, just Metroid Prime Giant Robot Edition, or honestly, like even the new Kirby game that there wouldn't be like a compatible like Planet Robobot slash Giant Robot where you just like I mean I know that's for the 3DS, but you think maybe they'd have like some sort of small eShop title with Kirby and I don't know, just
Mm.
slap a name on it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I guess they're super busy and it makes sense that they would cut it. But
Well, it seems like what that game actually became much better is the VR game, or what is it called? Like 500-foot tall
yeah, like a
golf.
thousand,
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
thousand yard tall golf or
was
robot
it robot
golf or
golf?
something.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's
like
on
what.
that's on PlayStation though.
Yeah, that's what they. I think they took that idea and made it what it should have been the whole time, which was a big giant golf game with robots.
It has like I read about that in a Game Informer. They had like an entire like not cover issue, but like several like 2-page layout for that game, and like it just had like a golf ball going across, and it was like there was a level where there's like a skyscraper that was like completely filled with like expensive vases, and the golf ball is just like going through each vase, and each vase has like its independent physics and stuff, like how it can shatter, and so it's just like just complete destruction. And yeah, that was Giant Robot was always meant to be just
Yeah.
so crazy, but it was always looked like such awkward controls, and
Mm,
was just a way for Miyamoto to play around with the Wii U gamepad, which
yeah. For sure.
will probably be reflected eventually somehow in a future game, but just not now.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, we got to move on because we got a few last little stories to get to real quick. Super Mario Maker levels are still being removed. This comes from the Gazette. Super Mario
So
Maker
sad.
levels are still being removed from the game without any explanation from the gaming giant. This time it happened to Bake to Rise, a Super Mario Maker player and father of a daughter who also likes to create levels in the game. He posted this story on Reddit earlier today. The level was not created by him, it was designed by his daughter, who created 3 hours, or who spent 3 hours creating it. The level was played and beaten by another gamer who recommended her stage by giving it a star. They
No.
went to check the notification and noticed that the level was gone. It was reportedly removed in less than an hour. I know this stage is, or I know this has been a post before. He said about the removal of the stage, but I am so angry.
Yeah,
Um,
really weird. Yeah, what?
yeah, I don't understand that exactly. And then they make these claims of, like in their directs and stuff about there's been this many levels uploaded. Like it seems they want a whole bunch of levels on their servers, but and also to be able to find on your bookmark page and just to
Yeah.
it doesn't seem like that they're like they haven't put out really any warnings. It's true that no explanation has really come from them because
It must be
um,
some sort of algorithm that's just like
yeah,
detects,
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
that's what
detects
I
something, and so I would say just like if that does happen to you, re-upload it, maybe tweak a few things in your level if you can, just to like make it so it's a little bit different, so it's not completely recognized as a deleted level. But
yeah.
I mean, that's just honestly, that's just kind of the nature of like uploading to an online cloud sort of thing. Is there's just a chance for glitches or an automated system to find something weird. Like we upload to YouTube all the time,
Yeah.
and we'll get stuff like that gets copyright strikes or gets removed because it's blocked in other countries, and it's like, how in the world was that blocked in another country? But like we may say like, I don't know, something about like America or something, and it's
Well,
just
the
like,
unfortunate thing I think is that, like he says, his daughter made the level, and like there's a lot
yeah,
of young people playing this game, children, who are spending hours and hours making these levels that maybe sometimes aren't that great, or sometimes maybe get passed over, but still they put a lot of time and their heart and soul into these levels. And to be a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old kid to come on and see that your level's been just deleted
yeah.
might be a something that makes you like cry or something or
Yeah,
be hurt.
traumatized for the rest of
Yeah,
your life. Like I'm never gonna create anything of my own again.
yeah.
Like,
My level didn't cut it. Nintendo,
oh my gosh.
Nintendo saw it and they said no, we're like less than an hour. So
And they're gonna
you
go and
know
put on a
that's what
PlayStation VR headset and be like, "This is my life now."
like
Like,
you and I, we understand it's just like an algorithm and maybe we just need to re-upload it, but this guy has to explain to his daughter, like who's sobbing uncontrollably, that
his little
no,
3-year-old daughter. It's an algorithm, daughter.
yeah, what
Sweetie.
the algorithm?
Yeah, she's gonna go like on the playground and like her little friends. I didn't see your level online. It was an algorithm.
Yeah.
No, that's sad. Yeah, I was gonna. That was my first thought. Honestly, was like the daughter uploaded it. Like maybe it was just crap or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
and Nintendo's like, forget this. But
yeah. Well, I'm
honestly,
sure it was.
Nintendo shouldn't be deleting levels unless they're unbeatable for days.
Uh
Like
huh.
I mean, and even then, they should be put in the super expert mode and left alone. Like.
Yeah.
Unless they're, I don't know, we have those levels that are completely impossible now because of glitches. So maybe they should be removed after like weeks and weeks maybe of not being beaten or days or something because you have to find that balance of is this level just super hard or is it literally impossible. But come on, if someone beat it and gave it a star, maybe they're trying to flush out too easy of levels because that was also a problem where it was like when the game first came out and it was like all level 1-1
Yeah.
except you had like Goombas literally like falling from the sky because someone just like brushed Goombas like with the stylus back and forth and you just it's just chaos
Yeah.
but you're just running through and it's just like all right, what was that? Like that was stupid. And like it made easy mode really unfun because you want to maybe have like a nice stroll through some levels, but these levels were just like nonsense. And so maybe it's like a combination of making a level not too easy but not too hard.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, I'm not
but
sure.
still, once again, it's like you said from the very get go. They should be saying what to strive for because
Yeah. Well, it
set
also
up.
seems like it's possibly a random algorithm or something, and then
But
if
what's
it's
the algorithm
that,
code? Yeah,
right?
like the algorithm searches for levels that are beaten. Like it may have been levels that are beaten in less than an hour. Like those are considered too easy and like it needs to have some challenge to it or something. Or maybe she had like a high percentage rate of people beating it within 1 hour and it just
Mm.
got removed because that could have been an easy thing for it to detect. But
I also wonder how much data this is actually storing on their servers and stuff. These millions and millions of courses. How much data is a single level that just tells like how where everything is supposed to be laid out, has the little thumbnail image of
yeah, probably a
your
lot.
level, and yeah, so I wonder how much that all adds up to, and if that's one of the reasons is because it's just taking up a ton of space and they want to like save for all the levels that'll be uploaded in the future. I'm not sure exactly, but we don't really have a clear explanation on that. Maybe we'll get one as more people get really upset and that their levels are being
But we had
deleted.
our Super Mario Maker coverage for the week, so
Yeah. Oh, we always have to have that. Of course, it'll probably be in the title of the episode, the thumbnail and everything. Uh, Couple more stories. I think we got two more stories left. They're really brief. The Smash Bros. Got an update
yeah, randomly.
1.1.5. Yeah, really random. It's supposed to be after the Bayonetta in Cloud and all that came out. The Corrin final update that was supposed to be it, but we have another update, and I think it kind of opens to speculation that possibly maybe they're not completely done. I don't know. I think
Well,
it.
we talked about that with with the NX and that they may be doing like an NX version. There's
Yeah, that's
rumors of
true. Yeah,
that
yeah.
actually. And I actually thought the rumors had a little bit of credibility to them when we had talked about that in the past. That they may be doing a Smash NX, and that people talked about that maybe being a definitive version, that it would be updated and patched to be more smooth, and that it would have maybe even more characters for the NX version exclusively. And that would make sense if Sakurai's over there working on the Smash NX version and doing patches for it and finding ways to refine it, and he figures out something that he doesn't like and wants to balance it and puts it on the Wii U version to test it, you know.
Yeah.
I think it. I mean, the fact that they were secretly working on it for 4 months or 3 months now, I think adds more credence to the fact that they are making an NX version.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you think they would just abandon it and move on to something else.
Hmm.
And the fact that this is an actual character balance and not just other things, I think says that Sakurai worked on it in some way because he was always pretty hands on with that. He wouldn't really change the way a character works unless he was involved. And so, yeah, really surprising and I think kind of an interesting change. We'll have to hear more about that in the future before we get too far into speculation. I know the Smash community, the competitive Smash scene, is not too happy because they were establishing tournament rules, tier lists, and now Sheik's been knocked down. Jigglypuff hasn't been changed. Luigi may be rising back up again. It's like all these like kind of big shifts in the competitive scene, and it's like they're trying to figure it out. And there's no patch notes, so it's just like, what happened? Like, you can't just drop this on us like when there's tournaments happening, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of competitive scenes like will just go with the latest patch until they can get to an off season to sort things out. But
Mm.
it's just hard, like when their Wii U maybe like will accidentally update or something, and it's just like, what? You just changed everything. Okay. But yeah, it's interesting. And then yeah, the last story, Hyrule Warriors Legends.
Yeah. Destructoid released a PSA. Do not buy Hyrule Warriors Legends if you only have an old 3DS. It says it's fine on the new 3DS, but bad on the old. Um, the story says if you have a new 3DS, you're in the clear. The game runs optimally without the 3D effect on with the new unit at a very stable frame rate that rivals the Wii U version. It's fine with 3D on actually. You'll just get a slight dip, but it's playable. Having tested it on my spare launch old 3DS, however, it's noticeably worse, to the point where I sincerely think Nintendo should have just made this a new 3DS exclusive.
Wow.
It's really, really bad with a sub 30 frame per second performance and no option for 3D. It was so poor I didn't even want to play through the first stage. Consider
Yeah.
this a PSA, and I'll also mention it in my review next week, which will take the new hardware into account. So yeah, the do not buy Hyrule Warriors Legends if you have the old 3DS, which is not a problem for us because we have the new 3DS.
And not only do we have the new 3DS, we have the Majora's Mask one, which
Yeah.
I'm so pumped to play as Skull Kid on the
Oh yeah.
3DS.
Yeah.
Dude, because you haven't played Hyrule Warriors yet,
No, I
right?
think that I might actually dive into it with this 3DS one.
Yeah, Hyrule Warriors was a surprise for me. That was basically me getting it because it was like, oh, it's Zelda, and I want a new Zelda game, and I want that. I was very disappointed that there wasn't Toon Link or Skull Kid in it, and now we have both of them. Um, and I am so hyped because that game is especially in the 3DS is gonna be so fun because it's one of those games where it's very pick up and play again, like I mentioned with the past with 3DS games where you pick up and I mean
Yeah.
I hated how much of a genocide it was at first, where it's just like, come on, like you can basically kill whoever you want here, and there's no like really rhyme or reason to it, and it's very arcadey, and
Right.
it's so mindless that it's very fun. That
Mm.
I would sit down after a long day of class or a long day of work or something, and just play through and just murder a bunch of Gorons as Link,
Yeah.
and it was so satisfying just to watch the Goron bodies just wash over me and
Huh.
fall, and I just got like a sick satisfaction from it, um, and so to have that on the go and like to be on the light rail to work on the train on the way to my job and just be like murdering a bunch of just little like Kokiri children and stuff. No, you can't kill the children. But no, like to just be playing that game, especially with the new characters and all that, will be really nice. And so, I think it'll be
Yeah.
I think it'll serve itself very well on the new 3DS. I'd like to talk more about how Nintendo released a game that runs like garbage, like on the
Mm.
old 3DS, like why they didn't do it exclusive. Um, but we're running out of time. But maybe leave your thoughts below if you have any comments or concerns about that. Very, very interesting that they would not quality test that and realize that it doesn't run well.
Yeah. I,
Maybe I don't. That's just weird because they must be playing it mainly on their new 3DS development kits or
mm.
something, and
Yeah.
maybe they just didn't even really realize to consider the old one. But you would think that would be something that was brought up, where it's like, okay, do some quality tests in the old 3DS or even like the smaller screen models and stuff,
Mm.
and be like, whoa, whoa, Tom, this doesn't run well.
Well,
Like,
and so many 2DS units that are out there that young people
oh, I
own
didn't even
and
think
stuff.
of that. Yeah, that'll probably be terrible. And so, but yeah, I recommend at least picking that game up when it does come out if you have a new 3DS. But if you have the old one, maybe it's a time to upgrade.
Yeah.
I read on Twitter this morning that the 3DS has a lot of life in it, according to Nintendo UK, and so I think it's a good time maybe to hop on that. And I mean, Sun and Moon's coming out, so there has to be a lot of 3DS life coming out, and so
Yeah, and hopefully
um,
they optimize it for like frame rate and stuff, but
yeah.
I'm not sure about. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff coming in the future with Nintendo. But that is the end of episode 14 of Koppai Podcast. We had actually not a lot to talk about, but we were able to get a lot of more depth with everything. We
Yeah.
had little inch wide news stories where we went a mile deep into each one. And so that was really nice. And I like when we are able to have podcasts like this where we can just really dive into the smallest of stories. And so if you did like this episode of Koppai Productions podcast, whether you're listening on iTunes or SoundCloud, maybe you could leave us a like or a review or a subscription. If you want to head over to Facebook and Twitter and give us a follow, um, we would greatly appreciate it, and that enters you to win an amiibo. If you're on YouTube, be sure to click subscribe, click the like button, and also if you're on any of these outlets, if you're watching embedded on a page in a Koppai snippet, anywhere and everywhere, head over to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Koppai Productions. The link is down in the description below, or you can just Google Koppai, Koppai Productions. You can support us there to get an exclusive Pokemon episode. We'll have more exclusives coming up in the upcoming weeks and months of equal or better value than our weekly episodes, and other perks that can come with that. You can get your topic on the show, entries to win a Nintendo NX. Yep, we will pre-order an NX for you if you win that giveaway. If it's not out already, if it comes out by the time the giveaway is over, then we'll just give you the NX. And all of that stuff. And so lots of cool things over there. We already have some supporters and a patron over there, and so we're getting the ball rolling. But we'd love to have more support so we can expand Koppai Productions into something even bigger. But for now, we'll wait till next week. A reminder that next week will be on Tuesday instead of on Monday. And also a reminder that we have about a half hour or so, maybe even an hour. I don't know how long it's going to end up being. We still have to record that. But a pretty substantial review discussion on Pokken Tournament. Also on our YouTube page right now. You can go over and listen to that, or on our iTunes and SoundCloud. And we also have a video review for Pokken Tournament on our YouTube page. And so you can head over there to listen to that or watch that. I'm going to try to make that look slick and professional so you guys can enjoy that and you can see how we're going to review games. It'll be our first review as Koppai Productions. And so, yeah, we ran a little bit long, but that shouldn't be a complaint for you guys because it's more entertainment for you for free on your drive to work. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yes.
Yep. But yeah, be safe, be happy, play Pokemon. If you want to play with us, message us. We'll probably play with you.
Yeah,
We'll add you
definitely.
to our friend list. We may be busy because we have busy lives and we just add more and more to it to make this better. But like we said from the very get go, Kopai is all about community. So we'd love to play with you. Um, and if you support us on Patreon, we'll add you to the top of our friend list and we'll play with you right away. But we'll play
Yeah.
with you regardless. And so. And I think that's everything. Zach, do you want to say anything to close us out, or are you good to go, or what?
Well, this little Kopite's off to play some Pokken tournament.
Yeah,
Beat my C or Blue League. Get my C rank up to B rank.
Oh yeah, I need to do more Green League. I need a Pikachu Libre. He's
Yeah,
my,
Pikachu Libre.
he's my homie. Oh man, I only play Pikachu Libre.
Yeah,
But
Pikachu is my starter. But
have
yeah,
you
we'll
have
have
you
all that.
scanned in your amiibo card yet?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna
Uh,
talk about all that in our Pokken discussion. So just move right on over to that after
Yeah, move
this.
on. We'll put a link in the description or embed it, or we'll do none of that and then just make you search for it yourself. It depends on how ambitious we are and how much Pokemon we've played. But yeah, head on over to that. We'll talk to you next week for episode 15 next Tuesday. All sorts of crazy news, Easter celebration. Actually, we won't talk probably about Easter at all because that has nothing to do with Pokemon. Or why do I keep saying Pokemon? I got Pokemon on the brain.
Yeah,
Nintendo. It's not a Pokemon podcast. It's yeah, whatever. I got angry. I
Pokemon,
got flustered.
Pokemon
Co-
podcast.
Pokemon? No, it's a Nintendo podcast. Next week, episode 15. This is episode 14. We're signing off. Cool.
Bye.
We got close. Bye. I still haven't had lunch yet. I'm gonna go eat, and then I'm gonna play Pokken, and
Whew.
I think my fiance probably wants to talk to me sooner or later in life.